It's time for another power-packed episode of Headspace with Dr. Mike. Each week, Dr. Mike is committed to addressing real life, sometimes polarizing and controversial issues, while offering practical and informed insight. Listen in as we discuss hot topics that matter to us and the communities we live in.
Happening, Headspacers? How's everybody doing? We are here in our home studios. Christine has joined me for our podcast. What's going on, Christine?
Good morning. How goes it?
It goes well. How's Pennsylvania treating you?
I have no complaints.
No complaints, huh? No complaints. You know what? It is a hot one here in America, and I have some vacation behavior because within the next couple of hours, we will be on a jet plane getting out of here. So I'm pumped. I'm all packed up, ready to go. You know what's funny though? As I was actually getting dressed to get ready to go, I realized that I have become that dad. Like I'm gonna look like that dad in the airport. I'm just gonna look like that dad. Like I'm gonna look like I'm in my 40s, and I don't have we've had this conversation. I don't have the fanny pack, right? But I might as well. Like that's what I'm gonna look like. I'm like
Take a picture.
I'm just saying, like I realized that I'm dressing for comfort, not for, not to look a certain way. I know what I have to get myself into. Like I know what we have to do to get through the airport. Good morning, brother Kevin, over in Denver, Colorado. Good to see you, brother.
Hello, Kevin. I'm here too. Hello.
Oh man, we got Tennille is also chiming in. Good morning. So I am that guy. Like I'm becoming that guy who, it's one of those things. I was talking to Shavella last night. I was like, yeah, because Mike is pumped. When I tell you Mike is like on 20,000, like he is like really excited. And it was like, I don't want to curb his enthusiasm, because I remember being that young and being excited about vacation. You know what I mean? Like it's a big time.
I'm not sure why you would want to. I think I'm losing what you're saying. Like, what's going on? What are you going to have on? What are you going to look like at BW?
Oh, nothing. I mean, it's nothing major. It's just I have a t-shirt on, some jeans. I may have my compression socks on. Like, I mean, just stuff like that, But it's not even that. It's just the whole mentality. Like I won't be content until we're in our rental car. We're actually checked into our resort and we're actually there. You know what I mean? Like until that happens, I'm not really going to be able to fully embrace the fact that I'm going to anxiety. I do have traveling anxiety. That's what it is. That is exactly what it is. You better go ahead and diagnose me. I appreciate that. Yes, I appreciate that. Yes, I have traveling anxiety. Thank you very much for that. With that being said, what is happening in Headnotes? What we got, Christine?
Let's see. I feel like there was something that I wanted to bring up and it escapes me. Oh, you're a reality TV fan, right?
I am.
You watch a little bit of reality TV from time to time. You might have even been on the show.
I may have been, on a little something.
Okay. So I was scrolling around as I normally do, and do you watch what is it? Love Island. Do you watch
Love Island? So that comes on right after my favorite show, which is Big Brother. So I don't really watch it because it's a little too cheeky for me, but I do catch like pieces of it. What's going on with them?
Okay, so I don't watch it, but I did find this piece of. I'm looking down, listeners, because I'm trying to find the article that I was looking at. So apparently, there could be some issues surrounding. There could be some issues surrounding, the coronavirus cases starting to spike back up with the Delta variant. So you be careful, Dorseys. So it's the Spanish, Ibiza, Mallorca, and Menorca are on.
Yes. Okay.
of going back on the amber list just weeks after being declared COVID safe.
Yes.
And Love Island is filmed in Mallorca. So when the contestants start getting the boot, they're gonna probably have to go back to the weeks of quarantining before they can come back into the States.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, a lot of those shows when they eliminate, they don't like send them. They say we're sending you home, but they don't really send you home until like the show is over. For several reasons. One, like it gives the producers options to bring people back. Also, two, it's just they don't want to risk anybody like letting information out about what's going on with production and stuff. And so they send them to like a place in the locale. And that is scary though, because of the uptick in the cases worldwide. Wow, that's sad for them. That is really sad.
Yep, it says cases on the islands have soared to 250 per 100,000, which probably, like in the grand scheme of things, that's a small percentage, but that's how it started the last time. So
yeah.
I think, we talked about that earlier this year in shows, about how we were still gonna be moving cautiously. Just because everything is opening back up doesn't mean throw all the caution to the wind.
Yeah, the pandemic is truly not over. I appreciate you telling us to be safe, because you're right. I mean, we're heading to Florida, and we already know that Florida, their governor has made it very clear this is not me going any side of one way or the other, but I mean, he's made it very clear that he doesn't want anybody fearing the pandemic, and so I'm a little concerned because the numbers are going up down there. So. One thing I will tell you though is we know how to hunker in place. My in-laws will be joining us, and they have we have a resort that we're at, and then they also have a house that they're staying at, and so we're gonna be set, and we will still be putting our mask on when we need to, because we just want to make sure that everything is good. Let's see. We have another situation though. It turns out that we lost another great, y'all. We lost another great. Biz Markie, dead at the age of 57.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
wow. What you say, Christine?
Well, baby, you
got what I need.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It just seems like I joke with my family when I say this, but I'm starting to really believe it. It's like somebody up there knows something is going on, and they're just swooping up all of the people. Like, it's like, it's just insane to me, the amount, at the rate at which we are. And I wonder, like, I remember being young, and it seemed like my grandmother was always going to a funeral, or someone that just passed away. You got to go take somebody this and take somebody that. It seemed like somebody was always passing away, and now I'm at that age. So
somebody close to our age, yeah. Do you think that's why we're noticing it more? Like, is that what it is? Because these are people that are closer to our age, or is it really just there's just a lot of people dying?
I think it's a healthy combination. Like, I'm not as moved, I'll say, by Biz Markie's unfortunate passing as I was by Kobe, because Kobe and us are the exact same age. So that was like shocking. Like, just to keep 1978 and through I think it's a healthy mix of both though.
Even Chadwick Boseman, that was a rough one too. I agree with that. Yeah, you're right. Biz Markie is like, man, we lost, but it's almost just like another one.
Right.
Like, it's really sad. Our thoughts and prayers are going out to the family for them, because that's just definitely a sad thing. We know the Olympics are getting ready to start. I'm a huge fan of the Olympics, particularly the Summer Olympics, and we have a lot going on with the Olympics. But let's see, there's a little bit of controversy with one of the mothers of one of the gymnasts.
Yes, Jordan Childs. I'm glad you brought that up. She, her mom is scheduled to start serving out a jail sentence for theft. She's supposed to surrender herself on July 27th, but she was granted, I don't know the correct terminology because I walk the straight and narrow, but she is able to watch her daughter through the Olympic Games, and then she can turn herself in. Now, she can't go to Tokyo. She still has to watch from home, But it's a lot of people that are up in arms because they're like, well, you wouldn't get that same courtesy. And I'm like, what are they tripping about? It's like today is what, the 7th? What's today? The 17th?
17th, yeah.
She still hasn't turned herself in. She still hasn't surrendered herself. So it's just an extension of that. It's not like they're letting her out of the jail to do this. People, like, I don't know. People focus on.
And she's still gonna have to do her time. I mean, she's still gonna have to do the time.
Yep.
I mean, people do stuff like that all the time. You'd be surprised. I think we just hear about it now because of the high profile and the complexity of it. I don't know, Christine. There's a part of me though that feels like, I mean, that's one of the consequences to the crime that you committed.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds awful to some degree, but I mean, we all are, at some point, we all are subject to the law, right? And but I don't know. I can understand why some people are up in arms about it, even though I do know that stuff like that happens. What makes her so special? Like, that's the date that they said you're supposed to go to jail, and you did break a law. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's refuting the fact that she is a criminal.
Right.
I don't know. I do have a hard time with we're going to just change the date so that you can conveniently watch your daughter compete in the Olympic finals. I mean, I get it.
Why though? Like, I guess my thing is that she's already not there yet. It's just an extension. Do you understand what I mean? Like,
but you broke the law, so it's like I almost feel like you broke the law, and now you're asking for like some kind of contingency. It's like, all right, we're gonna make you be convenienced. Consider the fact that like we're paying for her stay, and I mean, I'm not trying to be. The criminal justice system is a whole different ballgame, so I'm not trying to go into that. But I guess for me, I can understand. I mean, I don't care one way or the other. Like, I'm not really bent out of shape about it. Like, I'm not losing sleep over they need to go ahead and send that woman to jail,
right.
But at the same token, I'm just like, I mean, if you do the crime, you gotta do the time.
But you yourself said she is doing the time. It's not, her time isn't shortened.
No, it's not. It's not short, and I just think it's just. I mean, I think that's just part of the thing. I mean, how about this? When we were growing up, and we did something that we weren't supposed to do, and the punishment tend to overlap with like a big party, right? I mean, I don't know. That is a little rough because there are times where I did want my parents to kind of bend the rule because they're like, "What is a big party?" I guess
Walkers to only have that to compare it to.
I guess I know. Well, you said it a little earlier. All the listeners, you didn't get to see Christine. We're looking at each other online, and she said the straight and narrow, and she actually had the pantomime for all that. That made me laugh. Anyway, with that being said, so she's going to get to watch her daughter, and apparently, like most of the athletes, their parents will not be with them. But this was a cool thing. What's her name? The track runner. Felix. Allison Felix. She partnered with her sponsor, and they are actually contributing funds for athletes so that their kids can be taken care of while they're in Tokyo. So I guess the new rule is, even though there are no spectators allowed, so people weren't allowed to just come, you are allowed to bring a caregiver for your child. And Allison Felix is basically she and she's sponsored by, I think, is Athleta. They are providing funds for these women that need, that they're going to need some childcare for their kids while they're in Tokyo. And I think that's just, I think that's what it's about. I think that's pretty dope. So, all right, y'all, we got some more head notes for you, but I tell you what, let's go ahead and pay a quick bill. 2020 gave birth to a lot of endeavors. Here in 2021, everyone has had to get in touch with their inner producer. Our man Garrett Brace is one of those guys you need on your team. We at Headspace with Dr. Mike are clients of his, as he ensures all of our audio files are crisp, clean, and cool. If you have any audio, video, and even lighting needs, hit him up at G Walt Services on Instagram. Remember, G Walt Services, servicing all your audio, video, and lighting needs. So it's that time of the summer where what seemed like was so far away is now here. You remember when you're gearing up for the summer. I know for me, I knew my summer, the tail end of it. We had our family vacation, and then next week, the week after vacation, we actually go to summer camp. It's family camp at a resort called Sandy Cove. I'm one of the speakers for the family camp, and then from there, I actually have to get on a plane and go to Atlanta for a weekend for a convention for with other health and wellness coaches. And months ago, I was like, oh man, that's so far away. But now we're at the place where it's like, oh my gosh, it's here. And it was one of those things where it's come to a time where it changed from waiting for the time to come to now it's slow down because I don't want this to end. And as I think about that, I think about the fact that time is a tricky little fella. It can be a friend and a foe all at once. There were some expectations that many of you set even before our 30 and 60 challenge. And I heard from many of you that you made some progress on them. But there's also some of you that actually by like day 29, day 28, 27, some of you even day 15, you kind of just let it go. And you said that you couldn't even make it past the first 30. And now hear me out. There is no judgment here because that's not what we do here at Headspace with Dr. Mike. Like, I don't judge. As a matter of fact, if I got a dime for every time I started and stopped something of significance before it was time to end it, I'd be a millionaire. Like, seriously, a couple times over. So I'm not judging at all. The Lord knows I've had my share of stops and starts. But one thing that kind of hit me is what happens if I would just keep pushing? What would happen is we start with these things. And I think by the time, I am a career dieter, and how many times did I start a eating plan and something like that, and within like a couple of months, I kind of ended it. And then I look back a year later and was like, man, if I had just hunkered down for, 7 to 8 months, if I had just really put my head down and just really did it, endured it for that amount of time, how much progress could I have made? And I know many of us have had that with that. And I just want to make sure that we are, as you're thinking about the heads up, keep pushing. I want you to say, keep pushing. Wherever you're at, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. You need to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing because you don't realize just how close you are to that treasure chest, right? There's a great image of this. I've seen it on social media where it's two guys are digging through looking for water. And one guy is digging. And like, if he shovels like 2 more strokes, he will hit the water. And there's one guy that got like just about there and then decided, you know what, I'm just going to leave. And the water was right there. All he had to do was just dig one more time. And guess what? He would have had water, but he didn't keep pushing. And so one of the things that I wanted to think you about is, what is it that you need to keep pushing about? There was a story about an older woman who was contemplating getting her master's degree, and she was leaning towards it, but then she was thinking about how old she was. And when she was talking to a friend about it, her friend said, well, why is that a hang up for you? And she said, well, it's going to take me 3 years to get this degree done. And, I'm going to be older. And she was like, I don't understand that. And she was like, what do you mean you don't understand? She was like, well, in 3 years, aren't you going to be 3 years older no matter what? The question now is, do you want to be 3 years older with the master's degree or without the master's degree? And that really hit me, and it touched me when I first read that, because that's so true. Like, how many times have we just said, oh my gosh, it's going to just take so long? Well, guess what? You have 168 hours in a week. Once those 168 hours are gone, you have a new week. And I think about the fact that how many times have we sat down and we're like, where did the summer go? Like, I remember when we were on the cusp of summer, Memorial Day, and here we are in the middle of July. And in less than a few weeks, for some of you, your kids are going back to school in a couple weeks, right? I know Christine is getting excited. Parents all over the place. We have a little longer here in Maryland. But one of the things that we think about is the fact that there are so many times where we need to just keep pushing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Everybody say keep pushing. Keep pushing, keep pushing. And so one of the things I want to encourage you all to do is to really start thinking about, especially as we're going into the continuation of the 30 and 60 challenge. We are actually going to start the 30 and 60 challenge part 2 back up August 2nd. We are actually going to get that rolling again. So we're going to run the next 30 and 60 challenge from August 2nd to September 30th. I want you to really be thinking about, what was it that if I had just kept pushing, how much farther along I would have been now if I just kept pushing. Let's start building the game plan and really putting ourselves in a posture of accountability, of pushing each other, and seeing more of us get to the finish line and ultimately to keep pushing. And my friends, that's what I got for my heads up.
Follow the Headspace with Dr. Mike show on all social media platforms at Headspace DM. We want to keep you up to date on all of our hot topics and keep the dialogue going even after the show. We also value what's important to you and your community. DM your show ideas to us on Instagram or Facebook. The next time you log on, you may hear Dr. Mike discussing the very topic or issue close to your heart.
Keep pushing, Christine. Keep pushing. We got to keep pushing, yo. We got to keep pushing. So I announced it just now. 30 and 60 challenge part Dukes, whatever we want to say. 2. It's the second go round at it. So 30 and 60. So I want you all to be thinking about, what is it that you want to get done in 60 days, right? And so remembering that some people, you're not going to hit your goal, right? You're going to get things started. We know that it takes about 27 to 30 days to start forming a habit. So the first part of that is just you starting to form a habit. The second part of it is really getting it into your lifestyle so that you can just keep on moving beyond the challenge. But we got it. The group is ready to go. We're going to make sure that we get you back in the group, everybody. We're going to hold ourselves accountable because we got too much that we need to get done for that 30 and 60. Yes, Kevin, that means that you have to keep pushing your wheelchair until you get out of that wheelchair, because you've been pushing to get out of that wheelchair. So you keep on doing what you're doing with that, brother, and I'm really proud of you. So anyway, got to keep pushing. Keep pushing. Are you excited about the next 30 and 60 challenge, Christine? Oh, I tricked her.
Excited might be a stretch, Dr. Mike. Like, I just, once I get into stuff, we are kindred spirits in our being, both of us being Aries. Sometimes, doing stuff sometimes seems daunting. Once I'm there, though, I'll be fine. But because I don't have anything that's just like, this is what it is. So I'm stressed out about even committing to what it is that I'm going to be committing. I don't know what that is yet. I'm not that there aren't plenty of things, but honing in on that thing is.
I get it. Hey, I know for me, I wasn't as good on the Facebook page as I wish I was. I got caught up in life, and so I got to really make sure I am more consistent with that. And so, yeah, I'm with you though. It is daunting. It's like, oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Here's this mountain, and then for you, I guess you're saying, for me, I have some things that I need to be a little more intentional about. So I can think of it. So we'll give it some thought. I'm sure the listeners are ready to hear what it is that you're going to be doing. So everybody think about it. August 2nd through September 30th. It is. Talk about his history, right? We've had great conversations about Juneteenth and about just over the last year as a result of the issues that happened with Freddie Gray and the social activities of Black Lives Matter and that sort of thing. A lot of education now is starting to happen, which is great. Like, you're wearing your Coppin shirt, which is a HBCU here in Baltimore. I'm wearing a shirt that commemorates Juneteenth. This commemorates June 19th in 1865. And a lot of history is starting to come out, and people are starting to become aware of things. Matter of fact, I have some brothers who come from a Christian worldview who are going to help break down some of the CRT, critical race theory drama in the future. So we're going to actually, I'm looking forward to that session because I had to actually do some research for myself because I wasn't as knowledge or learned or educated in the regards to CRT. And so there's a lot of education that's going on. And one of the things that I thought was fascinating was that the Civil Rights Act of 1969 is 57 this year. It turned 57 this year. And just July 2nd, 1964, not 1969. 1964, the Civil Rights Act became a thing 57 years ago. So, like our parents, well, I know my parents were alive before the Civil Rights Act was a thing.
Same.
Wow. Oh, wow. Dr. Michael Wayne Jr. watches us from Liberia. Yay. Thank you, Dr. Michael. Very good. That's awesome. Yeah, like our parents were alive before there was a Civil Rights Act. Like, I don't know how that makes me feel.
Well, how does this make you feel? You just talked about that we just lost Biz Markie. He was 57.
So he was born the year that this became a thing.
Yep.
So it was in our lifetime.
Right.
I guess the part that really just baffles me is how there is a movement to shy away from acknowledging that this thing known as systemic racism, social injustice, that it could be a thing. Like, why? I guess for me, commonsensically speaking, it makes sense that it would be there. I mean, don't you think? I mean, you're saying that basically what you're saying is that a lifestyle and a mindset has died off, and it's no longer, for you to say that those things don't exist now, that suggests that the mindset has died off. But yet the Civil Rights Act, which, by the way, there were people who were against it. There were people who were against passing it. It happened within the lifetime of our parents, not our grandparents, not our great-grandparents, not our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. It passed in the lifetime of our parents.
Right.
I mean, that's just very humbling, I guess, for me. That was something that just kind of really hit me a little bit. I don't know. It really makes me want to be a better citizen.
Yeah. No kidding. It kind of takes me back to a couple months ago, the show that we had where I told you that I hadn't planned on voting in this particular election, but I saw that on the ballot it was something about whether or not equity for people of color, basically. And I was like, let me get my little cell phone around here and play and cast my vote. And remember when I gave you the results, it was pretty close. It's quite a few people that did not want that law upheld.
That's crazy. And basically the law was just saying that you could not be discriminated against to vote based off of anything. Like, there could be no factors to discriminate. If you're a citizen, you have your documentation to state you're a citizen, you should be able to vote. And this law, if they had not upheld it, would have meant that certain people groups would have been restricted from voting. Wasn't that what it was? Got it.
Today.
And there was a chance it wasn't going to pass.
Correct.
Wow. I don't know. I just that's something. I mean, we're talking about voting, and it's fascinating because we're having all these talks about voter suppression, and I know each state has what I do appreciate about the United States is that they leave it up to the individual states to kind of make their rules. But then that's the other thing that I'm not a fan of the United States, because it's like there's discrepancy depending on what part of the country you're in. And so the latest piece has been the issue with Texas. They, in order for some of the laws to get passed, the legislature has to have a quorum, and even though it's predominantly Republican, they can't do it without having some of the Democrats. And apparently the Democrats said, all right, we're not even going to be in the state. So they dipped. They literally left the state and came to DC. And one of the governor was saying that he would go even as far. I think the parliamentarian of their legislature even said that it would be well within the rights of the law to arrest these legislators because they are not on the job. And basically all that needs to happen is they need to be there so that this vote can be taken so that they can enact some of these laws. And it's you know, and I guess I'm not the most there. I start reading things, and I guess my first question out the gate is, was the last election so bad that I guess for me, why is it that we're all of a sudden now in this rush to fix these laws when it wasn't really a problem, right? The only problem, as it appears, I'm gonna do it from a optics standpoint. We all know one of our the CFO for where we work at, he always talks about optics, right? And one of the things with the optics of it is because your dude didn't win, you want to make sure you fix it so that he can win. Now, I'm not saying that that's what is really happening, but I'm going to tell you that from the optics, that's what it looks like to me. Now, granted, some of the laws that they are enacting aren't necessarily awful laws. Like, for instance, the whole idea of being required to show some form of ID when you register. I was watching something, and then I started reading up on it. And what we found is that the consensus among most Americans is that they do want the election to be conducted fairly, and B, they do for the most part agree that there does need to be some kind of check to make sure you're allowed to vote. Because I mean, having a person who's not a citizen of the United States voting, or even having a person who's in the wrong type of election, like for instance, a person that lives in one place but they're voting in another election that doesn't have anything to do with them, I don't think anyone's against that, right? But I think it's the other things, like for instance, diminishing the time for weekend voting, or the drop box with the where you can drop your ballots off. I think all of those are things that I'm a little skeptical as to why it is that this is an issue for you.
I agree. Like, why all of a sudden it's an issue?
Yeah, all of a sudden it's an issue. And then, but then another question becomes: had it been in reverse, would it have looked the same way? Like, would we have seen some sweeping changes in some of our democratically run states? You know what I mean? So I guess I don't know. I don't claim to be an expert, and maybe I have that on my list of somebody I do want to bring in who can kind of just shed some light for all of us on the election thing. But I guess for me, one of the missions of this show is to really make sure we are educated in the situations that are going on, as well as understand things like that. So I don't know. Anyway, happy birthday, Civil Rights Act of 1964. Definitely going to be listening up to see how these voter laws are changing. What that says to me, though, is that everybody needs to do what they have to do to make sure that when it's time to vote, you're able to cast your vote, right? That there's nothing hindering you from doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Let's see. On a lighter note, how do we feel about Bennifer?
Oh gosh, Dr. Mike, you never cease to catch me off guard. Let me tell you something. I really don't care one way or the other, but Jennifer Lopez's rebound game is strong. She is committed.
Listen.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was real quick. Like, I think she broke up with homeboy, A-Rod in the morning, and by the afternoon she was in Montana chilling with Ben Affleck with her boo. I get the impression that she really doesn't like. I think I get the impression that the whole long-term commitment is not really her thing.
I can see it. I can see it. I think it was funny though when Bennifer first came a thing again. Puffy made posted the picture with them together, like he subliminally shot his shot, like, hey, don't forget about me.
Oh yeah, come on back. since you come in to revisit again, I'll come on back. I forget about the fact that they were together. Like they were very early on, weren't they? Was this when she was still a fly girl with Living Color?
A little beyond that. I think
she had moved on a little bit.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, anyway, she is living her best life. Apparently, she is out in LA hunting for a new mansion, and Ben was with her, and we're gonna see how this plays out. But with that being said, let's take a quick break.
Our world is filled with polarizing topics that land most people on one side or the other. The Headspace with Dr. Mike team isn't afraid to take them on. Monthly, we will invite people on both sides of some of the most controversial topics, from the serious to the silly, to debate their positions. We look forward to charged discussions that will inform and entertain. DM your head-to-head show ideas to us on Instagram or Facebook at Headspace DM.
So make sure you're getting your head-to-heads. We got head-to-heads coming up in a couple of weeks. I always love the head-to-heads. All right, so speaking of head-to-heads, we have the Battle of the Millionaires. The millionaires are my wife chimed in. She may straighten him out, keep him sober. Talking about with Ben Affleck. And then Kevin said, "You and your Hollywood news, Dr. D. Why am I not surprised?" I'm just saying, I have to stay with the tea of the Hollywood news. So the millionaires are kind of duking it out to see who can go to space first. And apparently, Richard Branson of Virgin fame, he actually beat everyone else to the punch. And he actually went on the outer edges. The outer edge of the planet. He basically was at the parameter where the world collides with space. And so technically he was in space. Very fascinating. I am a Trekkie and I love Star Wars, so I like sci-fi stuff. The idea of going to space does amuse me.
Well,
say it again.
Well, Dr. D, you too can go to space for $200,000 a seat.
How much? How much?
$200,000.
Oh, just that? Just $200,000?
Yeah.
Oh.
And you too can
go to space.
Yes.
Can sit out in space for 10 seconds.
I'm gonna wait for you down here.
It's only $200,000.
Understand, like, well, I want to know what am I getting on my in-service flight for $200,000? Like, what kind of beverages?
Life support to keep you alive. I think that's what you're getting, Christine. I think to be able to run and power those contraptions, that's what you're getting for $200,000. That's amazing, and people are paying it apparently.
Yes, but are you guaranteed to make it, or do you have to
sign
closures? Okay.
I mean, how many times have we watched the news where like they do a test flight and the rocket blows up? Like,
thank you.
I just don't know. Well, apparently Ashton Kutcher was set to be on Jeff Bezos' situation, Amazon fame, and he decided to opt out because he said, get this, that he did not think it was a good family move.
Maybe because he could die.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I was fascinated by it. I don't know that I will sign up to do it. Now here's my question. Is there a secret planet or a secret station for when the world decides to blow up, or is this just something I've seen in a movie or something where, like, is there like an alpha, what's it called, Alpha Centauri or something like that? Does that really exist?
It probably does.
I think you're right. I'm always fascinated by the Transformers. Did you ever watch the movie Transformers?
I haven't missed an installment.
So the one where they after they do the broadcast of the Walk on the Moon, they turn everything off and then they go to like the other. I think that's where the Decepticons plane or the Decepticon ship landed or something like that. And just it makes you just wonder, like, what do we not know?
Right. I'm sure there's plenty. There's plenty.
Well, $200,000 will get you to space and well, I would imagine if you're going with Jeff Bezos, I would imagine it comes with maybe a lifetime Prime membership.
You stupid. Not a lifetime Prime membership.
I'm just saying a lifetime Prime membership for your beneficiary. What you say?
Talk about free shipping.
Alexa, how long until we hit space? Oh my gosh! I mean, can you imagine? Let's think about what Jeff Bezos' ship is probably going to have. Like, I mean, it's probably going to be, I don't know, 20,000. It may actually be something. It really may be something.
Well, you're gonna have to tell me all about it, cause
you're not doing it. You're not gonna try to see it. Now, there's a little bit of controversy though, because there's a lot of people that are upset. They're like, okay, you're a millionaire, and why are you spending your money on this when there are other more pressing issues that need to be taken care of?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people seem to have taken issue with. Like all this, all of this that's going on in the world, and you guys want to go to space. I'm like, gee whiz, people. It is their money to blow. It is.
And here's the other thing. It's not like these people don't do other things for humanity.
Right.
I think I was watching Richard Branson when he was getting interviewed. He did the morning talk show, the rotation. And one of the things he talked about was, he said we were doing experiments while we were up there. Like we were conducting experiments, for NASA. Like,
No. So $200,000, maybe. Okay, so maybe the seat that the one that you would be on wouldn't be experiment. Dr. Mike, please don't pay $200,000 to be part of an experiment.
So wait a minute. So what you said? You said I got to pay $200,000 and I got to do work.
Exactly. Oh,
so I'm paying to do work. Okay, that. Christine said, "No, that's definitely not how this is going to work." This is.
That just doesn't sizzle in my spirit.
You know what? As I started thinking about that, I was like, I guess that is kind of jacked up. Like, I got to pay $200,000 and I got to do some work too.
But you probably part of the experiment.
That's true. Yep, because you probably they're going to take all the blood out of your body to test your blood and make you eat some kind of pill before you go and when you come back. Yeah, you know what? You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point. That's definitely something to think about. Well, anyway, nonetheless, if you are interested in being a pseudo astronaut, go ahead and hit up our friends Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson. Is Richard Branson? No, Richard.
Isn't it Branson?
Branson, yes, Richard. Yeah, who's Richard Branson?
Is Kevin still out there? I wanted him to tell us if he would pay the $200,000. Could you just let us know?
Yes, Kevin, he said he's a Star Trek and a Star Wars fan. Kevin, would you pay the $200,000 to go to space? I want to know from our listeners, who would you pay if you had it? Like, let's start there. If you had it, would you spend $200,000? I can think of some other things that I'd much rather do for $200,000 than go to space right now. Now, if we are where they have the Enterprise, the Millennium Falcon, even like if we have those things now, and like space is like a thing, and they've gotten it figured out, I may be inclined, but I don't see that happening with our lifestyle. Live long and prosper. Yes. Now, Sharella says she wouldn't go. And Tashia Glenn said, at this very moment, no. They're not going to space. I'm humored by it. I guess my closest thing to going to space will be when we make it to Disney World and we do Galaxy's Edge. And maybe we'll stay at the hotel one day so that we can do that. Kevin said if I had the money, I would definitely go to space. Okay. If he had the money, he would go to space. Or maybe we can get a GoFundMe for you, Kevin. Send you to space, brother. Send you to space. All righty. Well, that's very interesting. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Oh, my friend Mia said, no, I would have green ham in space. So no, I would not. No green eggs and ham. Nope, that's not how that's going to work. Let's go ahead and take a quick break.
Focused on photo, versed in video, For Any Media brings visions to life, from headshots to family shoots, casual candids to structured scenes. Our team can provide whatever you need. In Baltimore, you may have seen us at local events such as the Poly City Tailgate or the Randallstown Romp. You can find us on all social media platforms at the number 4 Any Media. For Any Media, for anything. Contact us so we can create.
So the thing about space, though, is if this drought keeps on going on, we may need space to see. We need to figure out how to get some water or something. It is pretty bad, apparently, out west, especially. And, you know, out west, our friends and family who are out there in the west know that we're praying with you guys because, you know, the hotter it gets, the better the chances for forest fires are. And those things are brutal. But one of the things I thought was fascinating was they were saying that the Salt Lake is drying up. So Salt Lake City, Utah, is based around the Salt Lake, and you know it's a relatively deep lake. It's drying up, and then you can actually see pictures where the line of where the water. I think Lake Mead is another one that feeds into the Hoover Dam has something to do with. And so the water from like California and Nevada and that sort of thing, Arizona, is taken care of there. And they said it's diminishing. And I've seen what that looks like. Having been to Israel, the Dead Sea is not as widespread as it was. You know, that's because they dammed up the Jordan River. And so it wasn't feeding into it as much as it was before. But same thing applies. It's like it's heating up globally. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about that? Is climate change a thing?
I mean, how can it not be?
Yeah.
This morning, I was almost late for the show because, I mean, I don't think that we are in a drought status here, but how hot it's been, I was outside trying to hurry up and get my lawn watered because it's just been so ridiculously hot. I don't know. It's different. Like, you know, we talk all the time about how growing up was different. Like everything is just so much different than it used to be. It was never this hot. Mm-hmm. I mean, It might have gotten a day here and there, but like for these long stretches, this is it's pretty.
Yeah. It's definitely unnerving. Well, even I think the winters have been even pretty mild in comparison. Or actually what I feel like has been kind of extreme. And then the fact that there was a hurricane a couple weeks ago down in Florida, when that was a little early. Like usually we don't have hurricanes until a little later on in the summer, and we had that. I mean, it's weird and crazy out there. So that's nuts. So hopefully maybe our friends that are going to space, they can get that fixed too. When we're talking, go ahead. What'd you say, Christine? I'm sorry.
And on Kevin's space agenda.
Yes, Kevin, that's what your mission is, brother. If we are going to help bankroll your trip to space, your job, your mission, should you choose to accept it, will be to make sure we can have more water here on planet Earth. All right. So do you accept it? That's what we need to know. We'll self-destruct in 5 minutes. Little Mission Impossible action. The other piece of it, you know, we're talking about going on vacation. I don't know if you know this, but there apparently is a shortage of cars. Like, who would have thought? There's a shortage of cars. Yeah, like rental car company. I mean, the price of rental cars is astronomical. Usually, well, apparently during the pandemic, a lot of rental car companies sold off their car fleet, and a lot of their fleet, you know, to stay afloat. And then I don't think the travel industry expected travel to boom like it did. I think it really kind of caught everybody off guard a little bit. And so apparently it's just hard for them to replenish their cars. And it's not as simple as just building new cars. There's components that are missing. So like, you know, I don't know about you, but you know, anything that you want to get delivered, it takes a little longer than it's been taken because there's supply shortages. And apparently there's a chip in the car, you know, the computer and stuff like that, like pieces of components for the computer that just aren't available.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty fascinating. So it's a little rough out in these parts. So even just us putting the reservation in for our the rental car was actually, I usually go through Costco because they always had the best deals on the rental cars, and I actually went through the rental car company because I got a cheaper rate because that's just what it was, and it was pretty pricey. So anyway, with that being said, we're still trying to bounce back. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sitting here watching the chat, and Tashia Glenn was saying that it was a small earthquake recently. Yeah, just the world is crying out for something. Kevin did say he accepted his mission. Kevin said he accepted his mission. So he is going to, so those of you that want to help support Kevin, he is going to try to help us fix our drought and get things moving. Wow. All right, my friends. Well, it looks like we have one more break, one more bill to pay, and then we're going to go ahead and get it closed on out. And so give us a couple seconds and we'll be right back.
Follow the Headspace with Dr. Mike show on all social media platforms at Headspace DM. We want to keep you up to date on all of our hot topics and keep the dialogue going even after the show. We also value what's important to you and your community. DM your show ideas to us on Instagram or Facebook. The next time you log on, you may hear Dr. Mike discussing the very topic or issue close to your heart.
Well, everybody, it looks like we had a great show today. We talked about quite a bit of information. Make sure you hit us up on all of our social media platforms, Headspace DM. Also be on the lookout for the 30 and 60 challenge that we are ramping up again, August 2nd through September 30th. Yes, August 2nd through September 30th, or maybe October 1st. I got to figure out what the 60 days ends up being, but around about that. But you have time now. You have a couple weeks to kind of get yourselves together, get your minds right. Christine, figure out what it is that you're going to do during the challenge.
Got it.
Everybody, me and my family and I actually do. Wait a minute, pause. Before I even go any further, what is the rule on that? Is that still a rule? Like, are we allowed to say me first now? Well, I said my family and I, but I think it's acceptable now to say me and my family.
Okay.
Sharella said yes. All right. Well, thank you, Sharella. Sharella said yes. Apparently, that's a thing now. And so this was the other thing that's been getting me tripped up. You know, you no longer have to do 2 spaces after a period.
That is ridiculous. My children and I fought about that because that's not real. That's not super new. Like my kids, I'm like, why aren't you double spaced? Like, you know, why aren't you double? And they're like, you don't have to do that anymore. I'm like, show me that you don't have to do it. Like, no, yeah, that's correct. I'm gonna keep on doing it because it's drilled in here.
I mean, it was ingrained in us, wasn't it? Space, type of space. But apparently, it has something to do with the way the typesetting on the typewriter was. That 1 space wasn't adequate enough, and so you had to do 2 spaces. And so now, because we have, you know, computers and stuff that kind of do it a little better, the 2 spaces isn't necessary anymore. Who knew? I do find that fascinating. What you say, Christine?
They're gonna get my 2 spaces. I can do it the other way.
Yeah, I think I still use the 2 spaces as well. So anyway, well, everybody, it has been an honor and a privilege to hang out with you all today. Thank you so much, Christine, for hanging out with me today and talking with me. Headspacers, I wish you all many of God's blessings upon you. Please be safe. The pandemic is not over yet, so be wise as well. And until we shall meet again, see you next week.
You guys were great.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Headspace with Dr. Mike. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to follow us on social media at Headspace DM to continue the dialogue with other Headspacers regarding today's show. Everyone is filling their headspace with something. The question is, what are you filling yours with? Tune in next week.